Can Arne Slot win the Premier League with Liverpool? It's the question in everyone's mind. It's not Ruben Amorim anymore, but one thing I got to say to my listeners here at FC Wonderkid, Ruben Amorim will not go to West Ham. Do you agree with me, Breton? And how are you?
I'm good. And it's hard to even deal with pleasantries these days with the headlines coming in fast and furious. I don't know. Part of me feels like the Ruben Amorim West Ham thing is why we're getting so hard this Arne Slot to
Breton.
Liverpool. But there's significant interest there. But I think they're pitting the two against each other in some respects, and that's great because these are two great younger. I mean, Arne Slot's only 45. We know Ruben Amorim's not even
39.
40. 39, yeah. So it's bound to happen, right? We always said the managerial carousel is going to be so much crazier than the player carousel that will be coming this summer. So I think it's smart, and I think it's two coaches, believe it or not, that have the ability to grow into the role at Liverpool and to take the reins from Jurgen Klopp. But you asked if I think Ruben Amorim's going to West Ham. I also agree that is posturing. I don't think that's anything but posturing. I don't think he's going there.
But seeing this news, one thing's for sure, Breton. Arne Slot and Ruben Amorim, in my opinion, they're better options than De Zerbi, Erik ten Hag, Pochettino, to go to the Premier League and have a fresh start. These are managers that I believe their focus is on winning non-stop and with the collective. With high pressing more, Arne Slot. But I really believe Arne Slot and Ruben are better than De Zerbi. And if you disagree with this, in my point of view, honestly, I think you watch too much Premier League. And you need to watch a bit of Sporting and Feyenoord. Because Feyenoord, with the Arne Slot job with Feyenoord is historic, and the Ruben Amorim job with Sporting is also historic. So these are two managers that before they go to the Premier League, if they go, they're ready to make history again. I really believe that.
And yes. So like if you're asking me, do I think Arne Slot or Ruben Amorim can win a Premier League title with Liverpool? I really, really do want to say yes, but we also need to take a little rewind on what has happened the last, 7 or so seasons with Jurgen Klopp. He's won exactly one. He's won exactly one Premier League title, obviously, with Pep Guardiola.
But
without Pep Guardiola, we'd probably have, 3 or 4 Premier League titles we're talking about there.
That's where I was going to go for it. Do you think Pep Guardiola is going to stay in the Premier League the next 5 to 10 years? I don't think that's the case.
I think I agree. I think he's going to honor his contract probably till the end and head on into the sun and see where the next opportunity takes him.
Could an Arne Slot team be better than an Arsenal team with Arteta?
They have similar coaching styles.
They play for 3-3 both.
But I think and Arne Slot I think has the best from a tactical mind of what Jurgen Klopp offers. I think the only thing Arne Slot is missing that Jurgen Klopp very clearly has is charisma, chemistry, that sort of thing. Thing that you built up over time. But what Arne Slot has done with Feyenoord, I mean, even in a season where PSV Eindhoven is having a ridiculously historic season, that is what it took to beat a Feyenoord squad who will wind up scoring more points likely this season than they did last season, winning the Eredivisie. And when he came in originally, he actually took them, if I'm not mistaken, to a Conference League semi-final. Now, the big thing here is if it was a final. You're right. It was a final. Duh.
With Arsens, with Kokshu, and those players were sold. That's the thing with Arne Slot. He develops talent. He plays in a high-pressing style like Jurgen Klopp. He lost Senesi. He lost Sinistere. He lost Kokshu. He lost Frederick Arsens. And he's still competing to win the Eredivisie. 2 times the best manager in the Eredivisie. And one of them, he hadn't won the league. There's a reason why he's being linked to Liverpool. He's a top manager. And I love the fact he refused Tottenham, Breton. He refused Tottenham. And then they went for Andre Postecoglou, Arne Slot. He knows exactly his own value. And his value is to win a Premier League one day.
It is. And it goes, believe it or not, even before Feyenoord, it goes back to AZ Alkmaar for me.
True.
Arne Slot, I mean, what he did with AZ Alkmaar to bring them all the way up to second place with a bunch of names that we now know that we didn't know necessarily back then is incredibly impressive. And to also then talk about who he continues to develop this season, the Mats Wiefer. I mean, I could see him coming to Liverpool right away. In fact, that would be a wonderful kind of shore it up instead of maybe the Ryan Gravenberch that never really fit a profile that Liverpool needed necessarily. And that's why he doesn't really play that much. I mean, the two most important players right now, aside obviously from Van Dijk, two most important players this whole season are also the second half of the season where Liverpool was good before things fell off the rails. Were, in my opinion, Alexis McAllister and Wataru Endo, who was a great signing until he, I think, is just getting tired. Yeah, but Robertson, we won't even talk about but we can talk about the Merseyside derby in a little bit. I'm a little biased against him right now because I thought he looked like the majority of the squad. True. Terrible
not too
in
good.
That Merseyside
and
derby.
Liverpool have took 199 shots in their last 6 games. 65 were on target and only 14 goals. You can shoot all you want, but you got to be efficient. And that doesn't seem to be the case now with Jurgen Klopp and Darwin Núñez.
Alex, I want to believe that it was Jurgen Klopp's announcement, premature announcement that he was leaving, just like I wanted to with Xavi, just like I wanted to with Thomas Tuchel at Bayern. I wanted to believe that was the sole reason that Liverpool's title ambitions, that their Europa League ambitions kind of fell through in the end. But it's not the case for me, simply because they went on a ridiculous tear, a ridiculous run of amazing form, where Salah for a brief moment started to look like the Salah of old, where Darwin was starting to put some chances away, where McAllister looked like a beast, where everybody was clicking along. But believe it or not, where it started to turn was when he had to reintroduce those players that were out a whole lot, right? Ibrahima Konate, even Salah at times, having to bring him back in after AFCON. Reintroduce those guys over time, and I think that's where it fell off. I think the chemistry, I think maybe there's a little bit of a complacency, which Van Dijk has talked about after that Merseyside derby, that terrible first loss in 14 years at Goodison Park. I honestly believe that if they had continued to finish the season out with guys that have fought through thick and thin to keep Liverpool at the top, like Jarell Quansah, right? Like Connor Bradley, if they had kept them in there and slowly brought these guys back in, maybe they'd be in a better off position. But it's easy to say that now with 2020 vision. It's so crazy, though, for them to go to Goodison Park, for Klopp to lose at Goodison Park for the first time in his career, and to watch their title ambition. Now Klopp is stepping away with a little less shine on him. I'm not taking away anything about his whole tenure, but but to be honest, this type of what's the word? Anticlimactic. Yeah, but this type of anticlimactic ending for Klopp, believe it or not, as recency bias is a real thing, is a good thing for the future of Liverpool and the next manager that steps in. There is no replacing Jurgen Klopp. There is no replacing Jurgen Klopp.
Here. I disagree very hard because why is it bad?
You don't agree that the underperformance.
Yeah, why is it bad that Liverpool don't win any titles? It's much harder to convince a Salah.
No, don't win any titles. I mean, don't win any titles this season.
Exactly. That's why it's bad for Liverpool not to win any titles this season. Because first, we don't know if Klopp was even thinking the same way at the start of the season. Second, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, star players that are irreplaceable in my view, more likely than not, they're thinking to leave now.
Yeah.
And this is not good that they're looking very bad at the last stance of the season compared to an Arsenal and a City. Previously, in other title races, it would be Liverpool or Man City. Who else? No one. Now, we have Arsenal that is in this race. It's a 2-horse race right now, and Liverpool are not on it. So I think that this is a consequence of the bad investment throughout these years, not a consequence of Jurgen Klopp's era not looking as good as it was at the start, okay? Because he started without investment this first season. He only got Matip for free. And now in the last season, they only get Hendo, McAllister, and Szoboszlai in midfield. But in his last season, when we clearly knew he needed midfielders. So the Klopp era has 1 Premier League title, 1 FA Cup, and yes, it's not about the silverware, but it's the memories, and 1 Champions League. So that's what I got to say.
No, I agree. It doesn't hurt his legacy, in my opinion. No. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it makes for an easier transition. The recency of right now and the realization that Mo Salah might actually have to go. This becomes a little more of a project. This becomes more of a project, and I think that that's exactly what it needs to be looked at as, instead of a passing of the torch from Jurgen Klopp to anybody. There is no passing of the torch that is, equal from Klopp to somebody else. And I think that shows in that they're looking at Ruben Amorim and they're looking at Arne Slot, because this very much moving forward is going to be a project, and a project that tactically we don't need to take away from the great way that Liverpool plays, or at least visually pleasing way, in my opinion, the high press, that sort of thing. That's why they're looking at Amorim. That's why they're looking at Arne Slot.
True.
But I'm just simply saying that the simple realization, this lack of success at the end of the season, when not even 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, they were looking at a potential quadruple, I guess, right?
January.
Not even 6-8 weeks later, you have it all sort of come crashing down. And that, believe it or not, might be the best next step, and the ability for the next person to come in maybe with a little less, you got to do what, because imagine if they want to flip it and quadruple and then he left and you're bringing in Arne Slot then. I mean,
it'd be fantastic.
You're virtually, well, it would be fantastic in the moment. I'm just saying for the next manager, in talking about Arne Slot or Ruben Amorim, not quite, in my opinion. Not quite.
I disagree because of the expectations. But I understand where you're coming from, saying that it would be hard to match that same level of success. But I would still think Liverpool fans would understand that it would be the consequence of all those years built by Jurgen Klopp, and they would have a new manager, they would have new players, and would need to create new references. The references of Jurgen Klopp, Van Dijk, Robertson, Salah, Alisson, they might be leaving in 1 to 2 years' time. So whoever's the new manager, he needs to have this skill of building, developing stars. And both Arne Slot and both Ruben Amorim have just that. Michael Edwards is the key piece that Liverpool managed to convince to come back, because that man knows how to sell players and certainly knows how to write players with the right manager. So I'm very excited for whatever comes next for Liverpool. Yes.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that unequivocally, I don't know if Arne Slot is going to be the most successful Dutch Premier League manager in a long time or ever, but I can tell you that he probably will be the best bald manager in the Premier League in any time, especially better than his current Dutch counterpart. But listen, if you're going to back it all the way up and overgeneralize the crap out of this thing, would you rather take a Portuguese manager over a Dutch manager when you look at the success of past managers or past nationalities of managers in the Premier League? I think I know where you're going to go with this, though.
I think everyone should go like to see for one of the top 3 managers ever, Jose Mourinho.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there it is.
Or top 4 if we put Ancelotti in that scenario right now. So but I do think I haven't said in other podcasts, but it's a confession, and I do hear a bit of rumblings behind here. If Arne Slot goes to Liverpool, I am very sure, not to say 100% sure, but I think Chelsea will be going for Ruben Amorim. Okay? I think Pochettino will be leaving. And we've seen in the past Chelsea going for the best Portuguese manager in Portugal. Jose Mourinho, that happened after he wins with Porto. André Villas-Boas, that happened when he wins with Porto. Now Ruben Amorim could be winning the second league title. That could be happening when he wins with Sporting to go to Chelsea. So people, let us know. Do you agree? Yeah. Do you disagree? Do you think Virgil van Dijk and Salah stay with the new manager? Let us know all your thoughts about Liverpool, because yes, we could be referring your name in the next podcast, people, okay? So let us know your comments so you can get a shout out if it's a quality one.